WFYI podcast brought to you by Bloomington, Indiana, an American college town offering food and drink, college sports, outdoor activities, live music, cool art, and good times daily. Everyone is welcome in Bloomington. More information at visitbloomington.com.
We're going to take a trip right now. Like we always do about this time.
This is a journey into sound. Break it down.
I'm Kyle Long, and you're listening to Cultural Manifesto. Up first, on this week's show, I'll speak with the Indianapolis-based actor and musician, Akili Ni Mali. Akili has been attracting attention for her music, a unique blend of soul, jazz, and classic hip-hop music.
My particular sound, I'm not trying to sound any type of way. I just like to sing what feels good.
She's also earned praise for her work on stage. Akili portrayed the legendary musician Nina Simone in the Indiana Repertory Theatre's recent production of Four Women.
I didn't realize how much of her influence was in my life, in my music, and my style, and even in my activism, the way I choose to use my voice.
Earlier this year, Akili Ni Mali was selected as one of 4 featured artists for the Indy Arts Council's annual Art and Soul celebration.
It means so much to feel seen by my community, to feel recognized, to feel loved and appreciated.
In addition to Akili Ni Mali, this year's featured Art and Soul artists include Kiera Reddy, Monique Burtz, and the neo-soul vocalist, Brandon Lott. On the second half of this week's show, we'll listen to an excerpt of my 2023 conversation with Brandon.
I can listen to funk music all day long. A few of my favorite bands, Gap Band, and I can go on. And so I wanted to take that feeling because I feel like it's not reiterated enough. People don't really honor the greats as much as they should.
Akili Ni Mali will join me in a moment. But first, let's hear a track from her 2024 EP, Changes. This is 9 to 5.
Baby, let me take it to heaven. Show you how to be if you are mine. And show you how to be if you are mine. 'Cause I wanna be your 24/7. No, I don't wanna be your 9 to 5. I don't wanna be your 9 to 5. Oh. Give me flowers, chocolate drips around the floor, type of dish.
That was Akili Ni Mali with 9 to 5. Akili is one of this year's featured artists for Art and Soul, the Indy Arts Council's annual celebration of Black artists in Central Indiana. And Akili is my guest this week. Let's join our conversation. Akili Ni Mali, thank you for being here. I love your music.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going to discuss your work in acting and music today.
Okay.
But first, I wanted to learn a bit more about your background. From what I know, you grew up in California. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. Born and half raised. Born and half raised in San Diego, but also raised in Indianapolis. I moved here when I was a preteen, then moved back and lived in LA for a little bit and did the whole, had my first manager and agent and auditioned for shows like Hannah Montana and was trying to do the child actor thing. And it didn't quite pan out the way that I thought it would in my childhood dreams. So we moved back to kind of regroup. And that's when I started going to Pike High School, did show choir and all that. So when I say I half was raised here, it's because, when you're a teenager, you learn how to drive. Wherever you learn how to drive is really where you're from.
Okay.
But yes, born and half raised in California, so my roots are definitely there as well.
Yeah. What brought your family to Indianapolis? Do they have connections here?
Yeah, my dad is from Indianapolis, and my parents, they met out in California, but Indianapolis just seemed more enticing in terms of raising a family. And they just wanted a slower life, so we moved closer to where my dad's parents were and where he's from. Yeah.
You've been involved in the performing arts for a long time, since your childhood, as you mentioned. I understand here in Indianapolis, Deborah Asante and the Asante Children's Theatre were a huge influence on you. She's a legend in the community. Tell us about your work with the Asante Children's Theatre.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. So when I first moved here, when I was, I think, either 11 or 12, and lived here for about a year and a half. During that time, my mom signed me up for Asante Children's Theatre. I was incredibly shy. I had only done like 2 theater performances as a kid and was just shy. That institution really broke me out of my shell, and I was surrounded by so many Black women, which was super important to me. Black leaders that were just so multifaceted, and it was beautiful to be surrounded by so many people passionate about the craft in a way that was investing into my future. So it wasn't just an after-school program. It was like, these are the tools that you're going to get to carry in life, whether you decide to be an artist or not. But one of the beautiful things that I felt I took away from being a part of Asante Children's Theatre is that we're all artists in our own right. And we're all painters of our own story and our own journey. And so being able to take the reins on that as a child was huge for me in my mental development, especially as a Black woman. So yeah, hats off to Deborah Asante. I don't know how many times I've spoken about her and like just this year alone in all of my interviews, and I don't even know if she's aware, but she's a huge reason why I do theater today and why I pursue performing.
I know she listens to this show sometimes, so hopefully she'll hear.
Hey.
And, I talked to so many performers here that trace their roots back to her theater group.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
incredible.
How can you not? I feel like it's a rite of passage. Like you gotta earn your stripes when you're here in Indianapolis. If you don't know Miss Asante, you don't really know what's up. If I'm being for real. But just wonderful, wonderful, inspiring human being.
Akili, I was looking at your IMDb page, and you have some pretty serious credits in film and television. You've appeared on shows like Chicago Fire, Chicago PD. Mm-hmm. You've also done a lot of work in the local theater scene, including a recent run as Nina Simone in the IRT production of Nina Simone for Women. I want to ask you about Nina Simone in a minute. Mm-hmm. But first, just tell us broadly about your work as an actor.
I try to do it all. I got my love of acting on the stage, and I don't know if you've ever watched that Denzel interview where he's like, never leave the stage. Just tips as an actor. He's just spitting fire. Good tips if you want to be a storyteller. I love TV and film because it's its own art, but I also I got my start on the stage. So there's nothing like live theater and it being different and not having to it being different every night and not having to edit it. That's just beautiful. It's an experience. That's what storytelling should be. So yeah, I do theater. I've done a lot of theater. I've done everything from understudying and swinging to doing work with Indianapolis Shakespeare Theater Company. My apologies. I used to work for them as well. That company, they gave me a lot of opportunities to like expand my tools beyond just being a performer and learning the marketing side of things and the event side of things, which is cool. I've done some work with the Summit Theater, Phoenix Theater, of course, IRT. I really hope I'm not leaving anyone out. I've done a few readings as well. And then TV out of Chicago, which is like separate. My agent's out of Chicago, so they've given me a lot of opportunities, and I've been with them since I was at Ball State. And I got my agents essentially through a showcase with Ball State University.
Yeah, it seems like you're a veteran at this point. You got a lot of credits.
It feels like that, but a lot of like if you talk to any artist in the city, a lot of people, we're all just working. We're all just trying to get the next project, try to figure out a way to stay creative and make money while doing it, because at the end of the day, more people here than you would think are trying to make a living doing this. So yeah, I'm just one of many. My credits compared to a lot of people who've been here for years doing it ain't nothing. My credits are like a little fly compared to some people's, but I do feel like I've gotten a chance to experience a lot. And since COVID, which says a lot, you know.
Akili, I just mentioned you wrapped up a month-long run portraying Nina Simone in the IRT production of Nina Simone, For Women.
Yes.
You also recently did a concert at the Jazz Kitchen performing Nina Simone's music.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Nina Simone fan. When I first started getting into music, I collected all her albums. It took me years to get them all. I love her work. Were you a Nina Simone fan prior to taking on this role? And how has it felt spending so much time with her music? It's pretty intense, right?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I was unknowingly a Nina Simone fan. I didn't realize how much of her influence was in my life, in my music, and my style. And even in like my activism, the way I choose to use my voice, I feel like I've learned so much about Nina and so much about myself, being able to tell this story and doing a lot of research and deep dive into her life and her story and the people that she's touched and connected with. But going into it, I didn't know much about Nina Simone other than what a lot of people who don't really know Nina Simone think. Like, oh yeah, she's a singer. She plays piano. She's a jazz singer, which it's so far off from who, like, it's just doing her a disservice. But yeah, I think it was divine. My one connection was, and I'm gonna tell the story on the air as an ode to my grandma. My grandmother passed away recently, and shortly after I started visiting my grandpa a lot, and we'd sit on the couch and just flip through random YouTube videos as we do. And he pulls up this video of 4 women, a concert, and he's like, have you ever thought of doing something like this before? And I was like, no, and I just chalked that up to, okay, I'll add this to my set list, it's jazzy. And then a few weeks later, IRT announced their season, and it was Nina Simone, For Women. So I like to think that with the series of events, everything happening, that this is my grandmother speaking to me, because since then I've learned so much about Nina and her resilience and her activism and what she meant to the movement. And it reminds me a lot of who my grandmother was, minus the fame.
I'm curious if spending so much time with her music has left a lasting influence on you as a musician and a singer. She has such a unique delivery as a vocalist, her articulation, the timbre of her voice. It's unmistakable, and it's such a distinct style. Has this left any influence on you? And not to mention the songs, which are so deep and complex and serious and meaningful.
Absolutely. It's definitely made me want to be a lot more intentional about what I'm leaving on this earth with my artistry, but also not putting as much pressure on the type of sound, or, is my voice good enough, or can I do this, or can I do that? And, is this going to be perceived a certain way? It's kind of just make the art that you're creating and put it out while it's fresh, and let that be what it is, because that will stand alone in its own truth, and that's enough. Like, your voice is enough, where you are at is enough. What you have to say should be heard, even if in your eyes it may not be as articulate as the next person, or you may not sound like Celine Dion when you sing all the time. Because I resonate with Nina. I'm an alto, and altos don't get a lot of love in this business, especially Black girls like me. A lot of times the industry, they want to see you do things that they put on you that they think that you're vocally capable of for some reason. And I love that Nina was just her and didn't try to do what the other female vocalists of her generation were doing. She just told the story. She told it how it was, and she sounded beautiful, and she's like, hey, listen, this is what it is. And that is something that people would pay money to be able to have, but she just had it naturally.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations on this run as Nina Simone. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Akili, for the remainder of our time, I want to talk about your music.
Yeah.
I told you I was like a fan instantly after hearing just a few seconds of your work. To me, your music is the perfect blend of R&B, classic hip-hop, and jazz. There's a significant jazz kind of influence underpinning your vocals. Mm-hmm. You scat sing, you have some really unique harmonies. I know you studied musical theater at Ball State.
Yes.
I know your parents were both musicians.
Yeah.
I'm curious where this unique sound and style come from. How did you kind of grab all these influences and put it together in this unique way? I know it's a big question, but yeah, tell us about your sound and how it all came together in such a unique way.
You remember when you were asking me about Nina and was I a Nina fan before? She's one of those influences that I didn't realize that I had. And I'm sure I will discover over the course of my career what it is exactly. Because, we're all just innovating. That's what art is anyways. It's whether we realize it or not, but my particular sound, I'm not trying to sound any type of way. I just like to sing what feels good. It's therapeutic for me to get it out. And I'm not someone who's going to get on stage and stress vocally, intellectually. Like I want it to feel good. I want it to feel right. Even if it doesn't always feel good, I want it to feel right, and I want it to feel like me. So I think that naturally all of my influences, jazz being one of them, because I was in the jazz band at Ball State as well, and I've done a lot of jazz gigs around here. So like my knowledge of standards and scatting and my love for Ella is going to shine through, because she's a huge influence of mine. But also, I grew up listening to a lot of hip hop. I'm a hip hop head. I love R&B. So that's going to shine through as well. I hope that answers that question.
Does. Yeah, and it definitely all comes through in the music.
Thank you.
I want to share some of your music now. The first track I'm going to play is Up off your 2024 EP Changes. This song has gotten a lot of traction on Spotify. I think it has over 100,000 streams, right?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that's nice.
And that was all grassroots.
No pay for play.
No pay for play, but there were a few playlists that got on that bumped it, like the Spotify radio. And that was the song where A&R started to really reach out to me. And also the moment where I realized that I can do a lot more on my own than I thought. Up at 120 something thousand right now.
Good. Congrats. Yeah, it reminded me of like classic 90s Erykah Badu, the kind of vibe of the song. I really love it.
That is a compliment. Yeah. I'm going to sleep good tonight.
Good. Let's listen to that track now. Okay. This is Akili Ni Mali with Up.
I go round and round in circles, but I always know the chapter I'm on. And I don't think you're that aware, and that's a problem. 'Cause we were put here on this earth to find ourselves, but you don't want. Now you asking me blank questions, stalling, trying to find a new thing. You already know what's up. Found my heart in the trenches, bad love. These are the expenses. You won't really fill my cup. Telling me don't leave, but you let me hold it.
I'm Kyle Long, and you're listening to Cultural Manifesto. We just heard Up by Akili Ni Mali, and Akili is my guest this week. Akili, you recently received a really nice acknowledgement of your work here in Indianapolis. The Indy Arts Council selected you to be one of the featured artists for their annual Art and Soul series. What does it mean to you to have your work recognized by the Arts Council?
It just, oh my God, it just affirms so much because, and I am going to speak for a lot of artists here because I've had a lot of conversations, like real conversations with artists here. Everybody's been doing the work for years, long before I've been here, and they're going to keep doing the work. Indianapolis has incredible artists, but sometimes it can feel like you're not seen or appreciated by the community because it is so spread out, and the culture is still growing. So it means so much. It means so much to feel seen by my community, to feel recognized, to feel loved and appreciated, and especially people to like my music because I'm sensitive. Artists are sensitive. So for me to put out myself and for people to accept that and love that, I'd be lying if I say it doesn't affect me in a positive way. Like, I definitely, as an artist, I try not to take these opportunities and make them define me and who I am, because at the end of the day, whether I got Art and Soul featured artist. Whether I was a featured artist or not, I'm still going to be grinding. I'm still going to be an artist. But I really appreciate the platform. It's given me so much exposure and given me so much opportunity. Like, I mean, here I am today. Like, I don't think I would be here in this moment talking about my music if it weren't for the platform, you know? So I'm so grateful to them. I'm grateful. I'm overwhelmed and just jumping for joy.
Yeah, you definitely deserve it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you're going to be part of an artist showcase for Art and Soul at the Madam Walker Theatre on April 11th. You perform live a lot. You keep a pretty big, busy schedule. Tell us about your live show.
Yeah. So at Art and Soul, it's going to be a short live show, like a little preview. Like come stream my music and come see me at my shows. But it's going to be featuring all of the featured artists. So there'll be some wearable art from Monique. Kiara's doing painting live, and then Brandon and I are performing our set. And we'll have some merch there, which will be really nice because merch has always been so scary to me. But once I figured it out, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's going to be people wearing hoodies with my faces on them and supporting me. Like, I'm really an artist. It's going to be a show just showcasing all of the hard work that we've done to get here.
April 11th at the Madam Walker Theatre. Yeah. Akili, the next track I want to play is also off Changes. It's the song Lana Del Rey. This is a very beautiful piece. It sounds like there's strings on this track. Tell me about this track and the song Lana Del Rey.
Oh my gosh. So I like to write songs about love and accepting yourself and being a badass, whatever. This took place in my mind when I was 16 and I listened to Lana Del Rey's Born to Die album like every day with my friends. And when I saw A Cute Boy, I just thought about that album. Like, it was just constantly playing in my head when I was walking down the hallways. Songs from the album were, and when me and my first real love broke up, I could not stand that album because it reminded me of heartbreak and just that era. To this day, I'm like, ugh. I like the songs, but it's not Lana Del Rey's fault. It really isn't. It's just sometimes you associate smells or sounds with traumatic events, and that was like super traumatic for me because I was 16 trying to figure out how to love myself and putting all my worth in a boy and didn't have any, backbone really. That's I'm hoping that song encompasses that with the sounds. That it kind of gives you a hint of nostalgia with the Lana Del Rey sound, but I also bring in my R&B, my hip hop to it to be like, hey, yo, this is me, and I'm not messing with that right now because it reminds me of everything that I hate.
Let's listen to that track now.
Yeah.
This is Akili Ni Mali with Lana Del Rey.
But there's a record playing, and when the record plays, it reminds me of you. And when I see the daisies, it's like I feel the pain of what could have been me and you. Lana Del Rey. I'm down on my knees, we're playing scenarios since the day I have been the same.
I'm Kyle Long, and you're listening to Cultural Manifesto. We just heard Akili Ni Mali with Lana Del Rey, and Akili is my guest this week. Akili, that's a very ambitious track. There's strings on it. I'm curious about the production element of your work. I know you play guitar, and I've heard you're dabbling in beat making. How much are you involved in the production of your music? And tell us about your life as an instrumentalist as well.
Yeah, so that is something that I want to be so great at, and it's, I would say, like a weaker point in my artistry that I'm constantly trying to develop. So I really lean on collaborating. I buy beats. I'm leaning away from that more, and I collaborate with my producer, Jake Hostetler, a lot. He'll make beats, he'll play over the beats, or I'll collaborate with my guitar player or drummer, and they'll play on my album. So I'm trying to move towards more live sounds on my next tracks. But typically, I'll start a beat, and I'll send it to my producer and we'll kind of workshop it together. Or like on Sold, I played guitar, but my guitar was out of tune. If you ever play that song. But I played on that, and a lot of times I'll write songs where I'll play, but because I'm not a skilled guitar player, I'll just send the changes to someone who can play it better. So that's kind of how I've been working, just using what I can in the moment, and depending on how I start writing the song, that's what it ends up being.
Akili, you've had, it's just March, and you've already had a very busy year as an actor and musician. Are there any future projects you want to share with our listeners before we go? Anything coming up that you want to tell people about?
I'm in creator mode. So I'm just writing, I'm recording, I'm sharing the work that I've done, and I'm trying to lean away from the whole, okay, what's next? And just kind of sit in this moment and let it be what it is for a while. And take my time, because I'm not signed and I'm my own CEO. So I'm in that era where I'm going to take advantage of that and be a little slow with my creativity. So that's where I'm at. I'm in creator mode right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to end with one of your recent singles, Ick. That's your most recent single, correct? Yeah. Anything you want to say, anything you want to share with our listeners before we go? Any final thoughts?
Just some words of encouragement always. There is enough to go around for everybody. Nothing is too big to dream. Write down everything you want and believe that you are good enough to do anything and walk into any door.
Akili Ni Mali, thank you so much for taking time to be here today. Love what you're doing and hope you keep it up. I love
Thank you.
This is Akili Ni Mali with Ick.
I got a lifestyle to maintain. You won't get the way you're rather be laying and settle for layers of God. Honey, lose everything right now. Could have a new pair of shoes every day, and my bills all paid with you. The boy, you're playing no games, but God, honey, lose everything. I guess nothing's what I don't know why you're looking at me. Don't know why you're looking at me.
Cultural Manifesto will return after this short break.
WFYI podcast brought to you by Bloomington, Indiana, an American college town offering food and drink, college sports, outdoor activities, live music, cool art, and good times daily. Everyone is welcome in Bloomington. More information at visitbloomington.com.
I'm Kyle Long, and you're listening to Cultural Manifesto. Up next, we'll listen to an excerpt of my 2023 conversation with the Indianapolis-based neo-soul vocalist Brandon Lott. Brandon was recently selected as a featured artist for Art and Soul, the Indy Arts Council's annual celebration of Black artists in Central Indiana. Brandon will be appearing at an Art and Soul showcase at the Madam Walker Theatre on Friday, April 11th. Brandon will join me in a moment, but first, let's hear a track from his 2023 EP, Aqua Dream. This is Glass.
Maybe this ain't what I wanted, maybe it is. Maybe I'm just tired of floating, but I can't swim. Maybe it's taking up focus, keeping it real. Maybe it is what it is.
Out of line, out of time, out of faculties we had since past tense. But what happened to we? These glass ceilings, mixed feelings, where we happen to be. Call the coroner, another love casualty. Feel like a foreign.
That was Brandon Lott with Glass. I spoke with Brandon in 2023. Let's join our conversation. Thank you for being here, Brandon. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you for having me.
Love the music you're making. I love classic and contemporary soul and R&B and funk music, and you bring all those worlds together in your sound. So
right on.
Excited to share your music. First of all, I'm just curious if you're from Indianapolis. I don't know very much about your personal background.
So I'm originally from South Bend, Indiana. But I've been living here most of my life, like the last 13 years. So I would say I'm technically from Indianapolis, yeah. Between South Bend and Indy, I got a lot of family and people that I know in both cities. So,
were you going to school in South Bend High School, or did you go to high school down here?
So I went to high school here in Indy.
Yeah.
I actually went to Heron High School right down the street here. And yeah, I graduated in 2014. So
yeah. So you are an Indianapolis native at this point.
I've been here. Yeah, man. It's been a while.
As I mentioned, there are so many different sounds at play in your work. You know, the classic R&B and funk and soul. Yeah. There's some like Frank Ocean and more contemporary sounds. There's some folky and jazzy overtones to some of it.
Yeah.
What kind of were you exposed to as a young person, and what kind of life experiences shaped this eclectic mix of sounds in your music?
Man, it's weird. I started off in the church, so like a lot of gospel music. In the church that I went to right before we moved here to Indy, they, like the praise team and the choir, they would sing a lot of more like modern, like contemporary gospel. So like Mali music and Thai tribute, and that kind of segued into like the neo soul a little bit for me. So like listening to Erykah Badu and all that dope stuff, like D'Angelo, like just all those greats. And my parents, my mother's favorite band when she was growing up was Parliament Funkadelic. So she always tells us a story about how when she was, she went to their show live at Notre Dame in a South Bend, and like she got to see the spaceship and everything. So her, like when her eyes light up as she talks about that, like that pulled me into like, who is Funkadelic? Like, you know, so started listening to them. And as I moved here to Indy, I started to really get into a lot of different music. Everything from like folk music, Mumford & Sons, like the friends I had in high school were into a lot of different types of stuff. So like James Blake, and that really got me hip to like production and like really honing in on sound. And like I've always loved music, but yeah, I think moving here to Indy just really like made me blossom.
Feel your heart racing, your own beat don't need no persuasion. Yeah. I try to chase it, 1, 2, just keep the steps basic. And this ain't nothing new to you. Loving how you set the mood, be the highest ones in the room. If you really wanna know the truth, I need a higher vibration. 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 Taking it a vacation, just to feel that sensation. I need a higher vibration. I need a higher vibration.
And I want to jump into your new project, Aqua Dream, an incredible EP. The first song I'm going to play is Aries, which again has this heavy kind of throwback funk feel. It's almost like Gap Band or Rick James, or even, you know, those final Marvin Gaye records. It has that kind of feeling to it. Tell me about that track, and is that intentional? Or are you trying to evoke that kind of late 70s, early 80s funk sound? Okay.
In short, yes.
Yeah.
100,000%. Yeah, that's where my heart lies when it comes to music. Like, I can listen to funk music all day long. You name a few of my favorite bands, Gap Band, and I like the OJs, and I can go on. And so I wanted to take that feeling, Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's a really big influence too. Just take that feeling, because I feel like it's not like reiterated enough. Like people don't really honor the greats as much as they should. So that was just me wanting to do just that, you know, take that sound and say, hey, this is still hot, you know.
You mentioned you got a lot of these influences from your mom, who was a big P-Funk fan and George Clinton fan.
Yep.
She must love this music you're making. What does she think about it?
She does.
Yeah.
She's been loving it, and she's been really proud. She's always been one of my biggest supporters, though. Like I said, I have a really funny story. She, like before I asked her to like officially buy me like my first recording setup, she helped me build my first recording setup, which was a shoebox and I took an old broomstick and I took off the broom and I jammed it into the shoebox. We took a wired hanger and we like bent it into like a circle shape. And then we took a shirt that's like Under Armour and we like cut it up and we made a pop filter. Wow. And we assembled it all together. And then I took, like those, I forget what you call it, like the microphone that you use, it's like a Logitech that you would use for like a call center or something.
A lav mic, you mean? Is
Yeah,
that what they call them?
yeah. Basically like a headset mic.
Yeah.
And
gotcha. Yeah.
It was so janky. I like broke it kind of so that like the mic would dangle off of the headset and it could be more just like singular standalone. And we taped it around the broomstick and it worked. I have a few recordings still from that. It was like so DIY, but I was like so dedicated to making it happen. And it was because of my mom. Like she really put her spirit into helping me get going too. So
yeah, we'll dedicate this track to her.
Yeah, this for you, mama.
Brandon Lott with Aries.
Loving should feel like sunshine, lighting up in your soul. Dance with me in the moonlight. You've got me feeling bold. Turn it with my Aries. No one holds a flame. We can cruise out of space, and I like it that way. See you walking, what you talking as you stepping on beat. I don't know what you call it.
I'm Kyle Long, and you're listening to Cultural Manifesto. We just heard Aries by Brandon Lott. That track is on his new EP, Aqua Dream, and Brandon is my guest this week. Brandon, I'd mentioned to you, I think I first heard your music on a Clint Breeze project, I think We Good, right?
Yeah.
And you collaborate quite a bit with MCs and producers in the city. Tell me a little bit about like what lane you fit in here in the city, because your music is unique, and I couldn't immediately place it somewhere if I was, trying to categorize you here in Indianapolis.
I would say it's like R&B, like alternative R&B.
Is there a scene for that here?
There isn't.
Yeah.
I would say there's not really a scene for R&B that's been like refined yet. At least there are definitely a handful of R&B artists and soul artists. Because I would put myself in the neo soul box as well. But like I said, it's that everyone's spaced out, and so kind of what I've been doing in like the last few months is really like connecting with those R&B artists. Shady Rollins, have you heard of Shady Rollins?
No.
Have you heard of Huckleberry Funk?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So they rebranded as Shady Rollins.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Super dope, and I've been working with them quite a bit. They're top tier R&B here in the city, and Akili Ni Mali, she's another artist here that's really special. She has a great voice. I've been trying to find that. I feel like I'm searching for my tribe right now, because I can be very flexible. I can do different genres, and I love hip hop. I love pop. Like I can do tons of different genres, but I really love the soul R&B lane, and yeah, I guess that's where I would fit at.
I'm still a man of God, but sometimes I might slip and fall. Way too much Adderall, so I drop tabs to fix it all. But I fucked up and lost my job. When I popped off on both my bosses, I had no choice but cut my losses. Now I'm out here, yeah, I'm outside, yeah, we outside. Just wanna feel something that's real. Just wanna be more of me.
What's next for you? Do you have any immediate plans coming up that you want to share?
I'm just trying to put some show in the works right now. Some shows, sorry. That's really about it, because I really want people to hear the music live. And I'm going to continue to push this project. And I do have another project that's on the way next year, and that's locked and loaded, ready to go. So I'm really excited because I feel prepared, and I feel like people are really going to enjoy what we're rolling out.
Thank you so much for being here today, Brandon. I love what you're doing. I hope you continue making great music for a long time, and good luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
That's all the time we have for this week. Thank you to my guests, Akili Ni Mali and Brandon Lott. Check out the Cultural Manifesto podcast at WFYI.org or wherever you listen to podcasts. Cultural Manifesto is hosted and produced by me, Kyle Long. Thank you for listening. We'll end with one more track from Brandon Lott. This is Butterfly.
Look, baby, I done been to the mountaintops, the pyramids in Egypt, deep in the Amazon, through the vast Sahara. I've been high as a kite, low as a boat, drowned 2 times and now I can float. And all the stars infinite in the ocean so blue. A man ain't a man till a man found you. You're chosen, and I stand by my selections. I'm choosing, baby.
WFYI podcast brought to you by Bloomington, Indiana, an American college town offering food and drink, college sports, outdoor activities, live music, cool art, and good times daily. Everyone is welcome in Bloomington. More information at visitbloomington.com.